Hey, welcome to the video number 3. In this video, we are going to learn about TensorFlow, and in this video, I'm going to be teaching you about variables in TensorFlow. So let's get started, guys, without wasting much of time. So let's learn about variables and placeholders. So I'm going to say, first of all, we need to do import TensorFlow, right? So let me do that for you. By the way, the entire text version of this tutorial is also there on my GitHub, so make sure to check that out. So I'm going to say import TensorFlow as TF. So first of all, I have imported TensorFlow. So I'm going to teach you two methods to create the weight matrix. So we usually initialize the weight matrix, right? So I'm going to show you two methods to do that. One using the TensorFlow tf.random normal and one using NumPy. So I'm going to show you the first way, that is the using the NumPy or the NumPy. All right, so we need to do import numpy as np. By the way, first of all, let me tell you what is a variable. So in TensorFlow, variable is nothing but think a variable as a container which is going to hold values. So I have a coffee. This is nothing but a container, right, which is going to hold tea or coffee, right? Similarly, variable is nothing but a container which will hold the values. All right, so let's get started. So first of all, I'm going to create a random normal distribution. I'm going to create let me show you. Np dot, I'm gonna say random dot uniform. So basically I want a random uniform of values from minus 0.1 to high, oops, hi, yep, yep, okay, HIGH equals to, I'm gonna say up to 0.1, and then I'm gonna say size equals to what size do I want. So I want the values 4 by 4. Let me run this, no errors, beautiful. So if I run this, so here you see I have a values. Now how do I send these set of values to my variable in TensorFlow? So the way to do that would be, so I'm gonna say tf underscore w, that is my weight matrix of TensorFlow. So I just named it, this is a variable tf underscore w. It's a name, right? Now I need to create a variable, so I'm gonna say tf, then I'm gonna say capital V, and I'm gonna hit the tab button, so it will give me all the options in the Jupyter notebook, so you can complete that. Now this will take the value w. All right, so that's done. That's all a variable is. So now you can run it. Now it's gonna give you some warning, but that's fine. So this is how you create a variable. Now one important thing, whenever you, as I in previous video I taught you, if you want to print the values of any variable or any constants, so what do, guys? You have to run a session. So we need to create a session, right? But remember, very important, whenever you create variable, before you write the session, you need to initialize the global variable initializer. That means you have to tell TensorFlow, hey, I'm using some variables, so you got to tell them. So let's tell TensorFlow that I'm using variables. So I'm gonna say tf dot glo. I'm gonna hit the tab button, so it's gonna show me all the options. I'm gonna say global variable initializer. That's done. Now you can run that run inside the session. So I'm gonna show you two sessions basically. In this, I'm gonna try to show you an interactive session and the normal session that we did. So first of all, let me show you interactive session. How do we do that? So the way to do that would be, I made a small mistake. Global variable initializer. Yep, that's right. Now, so let me run this inside a session with tf dot session, right? And you can say ses. Now we need to run this, right? So first of all, we need to run the global variable initializer. Whenever you're using any variable, always you have to run by default. First thing would be your global variable initializer. So I'm gonna say ses.run, right? I'm gonna say init, am I right? Gonna run that, nothing happens as usual. You can see now if I want to print this inside the session, so the way to do that would be as usual, as I said, r equals to session.run. Now I'm gonna run that variable. So what was that variable name? tf underscore w. And outside the session, I'm gonna print my variable, and here you see you got the variable. So this is how you create variables in TensorFlow. It's very easy. This is the method number 1. So let me, if you don't want to do this, if you don't want to use NumPy, if you directly want to do like, if you directly, I mean, TensorFlow does have like pre-built library. Why do you want to use NumPy? So let me show you another way to do that. All right, all right, so now I showed you about the TF session. Now let me show you something about interactive session. So how can you, oops, the spelling mistake every time I do that, method 2. All right, so let me show you the another way to do the same thing. So I'm gonna say w, I'm gonna say tf dot random. All right, now I'm gonna say underscore uniform. I'm just hitting the tab button to complete it, autocomplete. Now it's gonna take a shape. So what did I do? All right, so it's gonna take a shape as usual, and I'm gonna say 0 comma 1, that is low is 0, high is 1, the same thing that I did. Now if I run this w, of course it's a TensorFlow object, but if I want to run this, now I'm not gonna use session, I'm gonna use something known as interactive session. So ses equals to, I'm gonna say tf dot interactive, I'm gonna just hit the autocomplete on my so I'm gonna say interactive session. All right, so you have done the session. Now we need to run this, so I can just say ses.run. Remember, I'm forgetting something, guys. What? That is global variable initializer. You're using a variable, right? So you need to declare this as a global variable initializer. So, but by the way, I'm not using any variable. I did not declare any variable. If I want to do, you can say tf underscore w equals to tf dot variable. You can do that, but I don't want to do that. But if you're using variables, you have to use global variable initializer. So let me just run this ses.run. Since I'm not using a variable right now, I don't have to create a global variable initializer, and I can simply say w. Hopefully this will print it. So here you can see I showed you two methods to print the, to initialize the weights. So one was using numpy and the second one was using the TensorFlow. Now let me show you some. By the way, I have written this in a nice Jupyter notebook. This is already available on the GitHub account. You can make sure to check that out. Now let's talk about placeholder. So placeholder is nothing but, guys, what is placeholder? Now placeholder is nothing, how do I explain this? So basically, whenever you want to pass any data to TensorFlow, initially, let's say I have sum is equal to wx, so I'm multiplying the weight and the x, but I did not pass x. So my x is basically a dummy variable. I'm gonna pass my x later on, not right now. This will make sense in the next video, where I'm gonna create a basic neural network where we will use placeholder. So this will completely make sense. For now, think a placeholder as a dummy node or a dummy way to so that I can pass my data to the neural network. So for now, placeholder is nothing but a dummy node. Okay, so that's it. So we will conclude this video right here, and so let me just go through what we did so far. So we learned how to install TensorFlow. We learned about constants. We learned about variables. We learned about matrices. How do we perform basic operation? We learned about session. We learned about variables initial. Then we learned about global variable initializer, where you have to initialize those variables. Then we learned about creating sessions. You have to create sessions in order to run those variables. We learned about normal sessions and interactive sessions. So that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and if so, do give me a like, support me on my please subscribe me on my GitHub as well. The entire text-based version is also there on my GitHub account, so make sure to check that out as well. So let me just quickly pull up my GitHub account and show you that the entire the article is also there on my GitHub account. So this is my GitHub account. So here you can see this is the IPython notebook number 2. So if you just open this, it should basically open the entire content of the notebook. So it might take a while because my internet is a little bit slow here. All right, so here you can see the entire article. You can read it, and if you want to try it out, copy the code from here, paste it in your environment, in your Python environment, and try it out. That's it for this video. If you have any questions, concern, let me know by doing it in the comment section below, and I shall see you in the next video, where we would be making a basic neural network. So yeah, so